Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Kezia Nicole with Parents Out the Mud, and we are here back with another Friday banger. I'm talking about finding ways to really know how to do this thing called entrepreneurship, know how to do this thing called parenting. And what do you have it together? Put it together. Come on, parentpreneurs, put it together. Yes. Okay. Parents Out the Mud, parentpreneurs, entrepreneurs, parents, entrepreneurs, and we are here with a very special guest near and dear to my heart because listen, when you are a parent and you are going through these struggles, especially with me, when I got a few kids, you really need a support system, and if not someone that can be just there physically but someone that can be there mentally. When all the mamas out there, we be trying to break down and stuff. And so this young lady is a very special young lady because she is so inspirational. She is so encouraging. She keep me on my toes. Y'all give it up for Miss Tierra Walker.
Hey, parents out the
Hey,
mud.
parents out the
Excited.
mud. Listen, and if nobody got to get it out the mud, baby, you
We
get
gonna
it
get
out
it.
the mud.
You
You
better
definitely
say
get
it.
it out the mud for
You
sure.
definitely.
Guys, don't forget to go to parentsoutthemud.com if you want to be featured like Tierra is being featured,
Yes.
because we have lots and lots of opportunity. So real quick deal, Tierra. Since you special,
Uh
I want to
oh.
show
I'm
I
excited.
want to show you something that I ain't showed nobody else.
Show me. I'm
So you
excited.
look.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, so I don't know if you met me back in the day. I had a couple of businesses, right? And so I
Uh
had
huh.
this thing called the Moto Bottle. The kids used to sell it. I don't know if you remember. The boys used to sell it. We used to go to vending events. And so, child, you gonna help me do this reveal.
Ooh,
It came
let's
in the
see it.
mail, and all everybody. When you go to the website, you can get you one. So let's see. About
Let's
to
see
open
what
it
it
up
is.
for
I'm
a
excited to see it.
product reveal. Let
All
me
right,
open it
product
up.
reveal.
Let me open it up. It's
I
like
got the drum
Christmas
roll.
up
I got the
in
drum
here.
roll.
Okay? It's like
I got the
Christmas.
drum roll.
Listen, let me tell you something. If
What
Tiara don't
is it?
remind me to do
Ooh.
nothing, it's to stay hydrated. Okay?
Oh my
Parents
God.
out the
I do
mud.
remember when you had these. That's so
Yes, girl,
cool.
they back.
Congratulations.
It is back. It is back. Okay?
Congratulations. That's nice.
So one
That
of the
is
things that
nice.
I struggle with, that can really help your mental health as a parent is, baby, staying hydrated. Okay.
Hmm.
And so one of the
That's
things that
right.
I
Never
love
be thirsty.
about, yes, and so we have this nice little moto bottle. You can go to parentsatthemud.com, get your own bottle. And so these bottles have a positive affirmation. It says liquefy positive affirmations. Look at
Oh,
that,
that's nice.
y'all.
That's
All right,
beautiful.
and they got some wonderful things on here. Let me see if I can put it in here. Let me see, do it like this. My camera kind of close. It says better every day.
Full
Full
of energy,
energy. What
feeling
else?
healed,
Feeling healed.
better organs,
Yes,
feeling
healthy
healthy, it says. It
organs.
says feeling healthy.
Yup, all of
Oh,
that.
that's
So
cool. That's really nice.
this is really dope. So I'm going to stay hydrated, and I've been waiting. Okay, I've been waiting on this
Is
to
that
come in
glass?
the mail. Yes, it is nice, honey.
Oh, yes.
Um, and so y'all got to get y'all one. Go over to parentsouththemud.com. Get you a
All
nice little
right.
moto bottle so you can stay inspired. I can't wait to fill it up with some water, and I can't wait
Yes.
to energize it with positive energy. Because if
Yes.
nothing else, Tiara bringing that positive energy, boo boo.
For sure. For sure. For
Thank you
sure.
so much for joining Parents Out the
Yes.
Mud. I think we met.
Yes.
Where do we meet? I know. So through Young Investors Group.
Through Young, of course we did. Through Young
Yep,
Investors
yep, yep,
Group.
yep,
Yep.
yep. We
Yep. Yep.
you came and you were a pseudo customers for our young investors because
Yep.
they
With
had
that first
opportunity to
house.
sell the home. Yep, it
Yep.
was our
That was
first
so
time doing
cool.
that. And so yes, thank you so much for forever supporting me, supporting the young
Yes.
people and everything else. Um,
It's worthy
so
of support.
definitely. So let's just dig into it. So parents out the mud, we always you are one of the people that I look to whenever I'm having challenges as just dealing with being a parent, getting it out the mud, trying to stay motivated. What was the moment when you figured out that, like, where you really felt like you got it out the mud as a parentpreneur?
would say that it wouldn't be so much at the start of my career because at the start of my career, I had my youngest daughter. I mean, well, rather my oldest daughter. I had my only daughter at that time. And that was pretty smooth. I lost my house in 2008.
Mm,
I had been in real estate for 4 years at that point, and I was young and I was extremely arrogant.
mm,
I was unhealed after having such a crazy, traumatic upbringing and experience in the military. And I had my daughter while I was at Norfolk State and started working and I got into real estate. And then in 2008, I lost my house. And the reason I ended up losing my house was not because of a foreclosure, but because I didn't prepare properly. So I was purchasing my house like so many people still try to find deals on like a rent to own. It was like a land deal.
mm-hmm,
And the owner of the house, he had made a deal with me that I would not be late because as a new real estate agent back during those times, I would get my check and I would pay up for months at a time. So I would, pay, those commissions would be significant. So I'd pay up for months at a time. And for 2007, he had me sign an agreement that I would not be late while simultaneously telling me that the housing market was changing and that I needed to get a job. And I was doing well. So I said, no, I ain't getting no job. I sell real estate. I'm doing fine, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, that year, the secondary housing market fell apart. So throughout that summer, my 5 or 6, 7 deals back to back didn't close. And it made me fall behind. And in October, I started closing deals again and I caught everything behind up and then caught everything up through the end of December. And on December 1st, he gave me a notice saying that he was not going to renew our agreement for the following year and that I needed to be out by the end of January. And so I moved out, obviously, and he gave me a rebate back on the money that I paid towards the rent to own side. So not the rent side, but the to own side.
mm-hmm,
However, it was crazy because things was going so well and then things weren't. And the most important thing in the midst of that was not being prepared. So I left the business in 2008, like March, and I stayed out of real estate for about 2 years.
mm,
And I started bartending. It was like almost 2.5, almost 3 years. And I started bartending, and because that was the only thing I could think of that would give me a lot of money in a short period of time
mm,
and still keep a similar schedule. Like meaning that even though this was at night, I
yeah,
still didn't work. I just still didn't have to work, like regular people.
right,
I've just never been a sit still all day person. So
mm-hmm,
I knew that not from my experience in the Navy, because had that ended differently, I wouldn't have stayed in past my original first term. But
mm-hmm,
I've always been the kind of person to meet the challenge, whatever it is, and then overcome it. So you figure like the Navy was one thing, but I always knew that I was not going to be a person that sat in one place all day.
right,
And so I did that for a couple years. And the funny thing about it is that I went over to Broadway and got a job there. And at Broadway back in those days, in order to be a bartender, even if you were a bartender, you
mm-hmm,
had to start as a waitress.
oh
And
well,
when I when I went there, I told Mr. Wynn, I was like, Mr. Wynn, I'm not a waitress. You know what I'm saying? I'm a bartender. He's like, well, you got to start somewhere, da, 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 right? And so we would get into it every weekend because as a waitress, you're supposed to write down all the drinks.
mm-hmm,
But I was a bartender, and because I was new at waitressing, I was trying to make as many tips as possible. So I would just get the drinks, go up to the bar, let her know what they needed, da 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 da. Never even thinking that that was how they measured who was stealing or not. Like I never thought about that because I wasn't stealing, right?
yeah,
So it's like meaning I didn't take the money that I took to the bar and in between there steal the money. I was
yeah,
given the right money, but it wasn't written down, so they couldn't quantify it.
Mm.
So I stayed there. But the point of me sharing that was to say, in Broadway, that's where everybody my age was. Because at
Yeah.
that point, I'm like 28, 29, 30. And
Mm.
that's where we was at. Because, now we could go to Broadway.
Yeah.
And everybody that I knew would come in there and be like, I thought you did real estate.
Wow.
Everybody, like, because I told you I was arrogant. Before I
Mhm.
lost my house, I would go places and buy the bar and,
Mhm.
all the young shit. And the crazy thing is, I owned my house. I was buying that house, but I had like an old car. And I would always, when I went to listing appointments, I had a Cutlass. And I would go to listing appointments and I'd be like, I'm 26 and don't let my car be the determinant of me because I own my house. You know what I'm saying? So it would be like, and they would give me the listing because that was the smarter thing to do as a
Yeah.
young person, buy a house or buy a nice car. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So they would give me the listing. But the point is that I was extremely arrogant. I would VIP that Cutlass, all the stuff. So
Mhm.
anyway, so
Mhm.
once I lost the house and now I'm out back, I'm waitressing. Every time I'm running into somebody, they'd be like, "Oh, I thought you was on real estate," And so,
Oh my
and
gosh.
then the waitresses at the club, they was a crew, and I don't want to be a part of your group, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
they
I'm
would call
different,
each,
boo. I'm
but
different.
yeah, but that's not right in those environments. You figure like they would call each other and they were all planning to wear, silver sparkly shirts, and I come in with my black shirt and I'm the only one, like they would do all that shit. So anyway, so you figure that, so you figure that finally he fired me for not writing the drinks. He like you got. I said, well, I told you I was never a waitress. I was supposed to be a bartender.
Yeah.
So in leaving that, I still bartended, but I decided to come back into real estate,
Yeah.
and so in coming back into real estate, um once I kind of found my footing, which was right around the summer of 2011,
Mhm.
within maybe 6 months, I was earning money again, and I think that was the first time, because in my life, for real, I never worked as hard as I had to work when I was married,
Yeah.
and that was just the choice I made. So you figure that their dad, all my kids have the same father,
Mhm.
yet they're 22, 12, and 6. And that's because I was of the generation that was the ride or die chicks, right?
Mhm.
And I didn't have any women, like how now we can look online and see all the memes that be like, don't be waiting for no man. Don't be,
Yeah.
nobody said that to me.
Yeah.
I stayed here in Virginia because I loved him
Mhm.
and I had our daughter, and I had moved my mother and brother here, but she wouldn't babysit. So that's why I
Mm.
didn't finish at Norfolk State. However, his mother and grandmother would keep my daughter enough for me to work.
Right.
And so that was my support system. And
Nice.
even with that, I would say, because they were very mean people to
Mhm.
me,
Mm.
And so even with that, I would say at that point, all of those things are the unhealed versions,
Yep.
because you don't know how strong you are. You don't know how much fortitude you have. You don't know what you're capable of if you don't have that belief inside yourself
Yep.
that you can in fact do what you may be doing in the moment.
Yeah.
And I just know for myself that I've always believed in myself. However, once I had my oldest daughter and not being able to get the support from my family that I thought would be, my primary help,
Mhm.
it kind of really negatively affected and kind of reinforced the traumas of growing up.
Yeah.
So it took me a long time to be able to like really, because I've taken care of everybody since I was 14. So
Wow.
you figure that, it took me a long time to like start taking care of me, right?
Right.
That for me, the biggest out the mud was deciding to pick myself first,
Wow.
right? It's never been about career because I always have made money. I've always, or somebody was giving me money. So I've always had some kind of money and
Yeah.
an ability to survive beyond just standard survival.
Right.
Like my childhood was a survival circumstance, and then my marriage was a survival circumstance. So you figure that's about 25 years of a 46-year-old life. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
And I think for me, the biggest getting it out of the mud was deciding myself to
Yeah.
take care of me and do the things that I was being called to do. So even in the midst of doing real estate, and always having that public face, or always, being a person that may reach out in the community, do things for others, and all that
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff, I definitely would say that for me, the biggest out of the mud was deciding to get out of my marriage and take my daughters away from a circumstance that I knew that's not what love was, right?
Yep.
So for me, that's the biggest out of the mud, and that was just 6 years ago.
Wow.
So you figure that because like I said, I've always been able to earn money or be given money, and I've always, figured out a way out of no way. I mean, I was just, my parents kind of forced that situation, and my dad, before his passing, my senior year of high school, he taught us survival as part of a daily practice,
Wow.
based on his circumstances and the life that he lived and his experiences. So I was always able to be resilient. That's why I tell people the word that best defines me would be
Is resilient.
resilience.
So
Is
then that's
resilience.
why, and that's dope. That's really dope, and I love. I think that's a continuous message. For most parents is to choose yourself, right? They say, you got to put your, you got to put your mask on before you save everybody else. And I think um that is really really key in the parentpreneur space, and it's something that we all are learning to do every day is to
Right.
choose ourselves, especially those of us that are reformed people pleasers, or reformed people that who struggle with self esteem and use validation to, you know,
Right.
to
Because I wouldn't really ever consider myself, because I would never consider myself a people pleaser.
yeah,
Right.
right.
Like I
But
don't think,
but that I was just saying, yeah, not you, but
no,
I'm just saying it's
no,
inspiring
for
people
sure.
that are people pleasers for sure.
No, for sure.
What
I
would you
think,
tell your what would you tell your what are three things that you would tell your 26-year-old self? Like
uh,
when it comes to like choosing like your choosing to make that
I would tell my 26-year-old self is go ahead and leave. I would tell my 26-year-old self that if I go out and take the risk now,
mm-hmm,
that I wouldn't fail,
right.
right? So because like I tell people all the time, winning is repeatable. So it's like I've always been a person that has excelled at everything, whether it's school, whatever I've tried to do, I've excelled, right? And at some point between getting out of the situation with the military,
Mm-hmm,
and then going into the circumstance, with having a child and not, being alone.
mm,
Because for me, the bigger thing was about not wanting to be a separated family,
right.
right? So you figure that I would say that that is what I would tell myself, because at that point it was just one child, and he was already in prison.
Mm,
And I stayed in the area because I felt more supported, even in the toxicity of what was provided,
mm-hmm,
versus me just going on ahead and taking the leap then to do the things I really wanted or felt I was supposed to be doing.
yeah.
At the same time, I don't regret those things, because, your path is predetermined
Mm-hmm,
and you have so many choices along it. So I feel like I've ended up at this point in the right place.
for
But I
sure.
would definitely tell myself that, you are a winner. Like that's the part that was missing. It's kind of like it took a while for me to understand what being a winner looks like,
Yeah.
because when you are a winner, you're going to fail at times. And because I was doing real estate at that point. So at 26, we was at, all the all stars. We was,
Yeah.
shit, 26 was a good year.
Hey.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like that wasn't a bad, you know what I mean? That wasn't a bad time. It was like I was chilling at that point, but I was doing real estate, and that wasn't the initial, the original goal. So it's like real estate came about from the fact that I had stopped going to school, and I had a friend that I went to school with that called and told me that they were selling real estate and they made a lot of money over the course of 33 months or whatever. Like 3 months, they said they made like 40 grand. I'm like, oop, that's for me, you know? And but it still took me a year to get licensed, because back then when you first started doing real estate, you had to pay for real. to be a real estate agent. So when I took the test was 2003, and then I ended up hold up, it's a dog out here, girl. Oh, sir, is your dog's trained? I'm not a dog person. Everybody knows that. Okay, as long I just hope they don't think I'm a squirrel because I'm frightened. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you so much because I am okay. Sorry, y'all. Listen, Tierra around tide water. So you figure that, yeah. So I would definitely, it took me a year to save the money. Like it was like $2,000 or $3,000 you had to have, and it took me a year or so to save the money. And I took the exam, and then I started doing real estate. And so that's kind of how it went. But I definitely would say that I didn't have to do that at that point. I
Yeah.
didn't have to do that. I could have done different. I could have made different choices, but I feel like I ended out where I'm supposed to because when took the class all the way back then, I said I would have a company. I was like, I
Nice.
will have my own firm. That's what I'm gonna do. And so I made that happen with God. With God's
Yeah.
help. So I definitely, have manifested and created my dreams,
So
and
can you,
I'm happy
I was
about
gonna,
it.
for sure, for sure. And can you share a little bit about like how that has been for you as far as like parenting? So like did your kid did how did you like let them know that this is what you're going to do, and like what was like, did they have any feedback or did they have any interest? What has it been like with exposing your children to entrepreneurship in the way that you have?
Well, the oldest one is the one that has been throughout the time, right? So you figure that she's the one that's been with me my entire career. Um, my younger kids, they haven't had any other experience. So you figure that they were born in my 30s, so there was never a difference for them. They wouldn't care, they wouldn't care, they don't care. They really don't. Like the younger two, they have been, I mean, yeah, like my younger two, the 12 and the 6, like they haven't ever seen anything different. And but here's the grace. Here's the grace though. So the grace is that when I had the now soon to be 13-year-old, I was working with a company where we did and bought and sold foreclosures, right? Renovations and all that kind of stuff. We did foreclosures. And so, sir, the dog. And so oh no, he bringing his friend. He bringing his friend. Okay, look, I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm not good with dogs. They cute little dogs, but I am not. I'm not a dogs person. I got a turtle. Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, so check this out. So you figure that I was working with a company that we bought and sold foreclosures, and so I would work Monday through Saturday, right? And my schedule was like 11 to 7. However, I had autonomy, so that was like the roundabout time you could work, right? And then throughout that day, by whatever I needed to do, I could do, it was no, it's like almost like just being a real estate agent. It was more production based, right? So it's like if I had 2 days where I couldn't do that, it was fine. But you only make money if you sell something, just like now. So you figure that that was kind of how that was. So I missed a lot of Saturdays. So what I did was when I came back over into the residential side in 2018, I said I would not work on Saturdays. So now I don't work Saturdays. And that was previous to opening the company. But I just know that that is when kids, events, and things occur. So I shaped my kind of this phase of my career around the kids. And then when I opened the firm during COVID, I put a room. We're one of the only, if not the only firm in Hampton Roads with a room for children. And so I have a room in my office that has desks and couches and
Wow.
cable and
Hmm.
black books,
See.
provided by Clever Communities in Action. Shout out to you, sis.
Hey.
And yes, and so so we have, and then they have puzzles and all of that. So we have that room for children, and I kept my middle girl home for an extra year, so she was able to learn and do her virtual learning in our office for those two
Wow.
years.
Wow.
And they can come with me on any appointments or anything like that, right?
Hmm.
Because I'm in real estate. So
Yeah.
um, even though you ask, so it's like
Yeah.
normally the kids would always accompany if there are children involved, right? If they don't
Right.
have children, they're not going to bring the kids.
Yeah.
But for the
That's
most
what I
part,
was gonna ask you because I know it was this one girl. It's actually a couple of people I saw. I know during the pandemic it was a thing where people would do interviews with their kids, like during the pandemic. But like, outside that, we're out of the pandemic. Like, do you find it that it's unprofessional? Because like, to have to bring your kids to professional settings. I mean, if you're the only one, there's a lot of single moms out there, and we just, is it possible that we can still remain professional and bring our
I
kids
mean,
to
you know what? I think that I mean, look at me right now. So it's Friday, it's Freedom Friday. I have on a pair of Sambas. I have on a leather jacket and a t-shirt that say "Get that bread." And you know what? The reality is professionalism is important when you're in corporate, right? And what I mean by that is professional presentation. So not professionalism, because our company's taglines are flawless living made simple and professional loving care, right? So my thought as a fashion girl, right, has always been that I am going to create freedom in my life. And those that are meant to do business with me, the reason they do business with me is, first of all, I'm going to be dope no matter what it is, but also I know my shit. So to me, that's what determines it, right? It's like if a person is clean and presenting themselves in a way that they can offer a service, a product, or an experience, I'm not going to let it be determined by those outside factors. However, there is a limit, meaning that I do understand, just like I said, that in our business, we're in a service based business. When
Mm-hmm.
I do a buyer consult, I'm going to find out what their needs are. If they don't have children, then I'm not going to bring my children on the showings. However, that's because I'm afforded that opportunity, right?
Right. Right.
You figure that then another thing is if my kids are with me, they may come and be in the car because now we have so much technology and you're in the driveway or you're in the garage that they can safely enjoy themselves while being a part of the circumstance, you know. I think that in a corporate setting that there does need to be some different provisions made for parents, single moms, single dads that have their children. I feel like that's super important. And I feel like that corporate settings should make some sort of adjustments because we're the only country in the world that has so many ridiculous rules and then still want to do bad stuff to us when we're not properly taking care of our children. You
And that's
know,
the thing, because like we they there's a double standard. Like we be present, be this, be that, but the systems aren't in place.
right.
And it really just makes me get back to, what I always say is that, like, we need to get back to moving near each other. You being a real estate agent, like that's a thing. Like, I know in other cultures they literally buy houses around each other. Like,
Mhm.
like, hey, you like Sierra's like, hey, Kezia, come move by me, and like that's how we build a village. They like, hey, it's a house for sale, come live here, come live there.
Right.
And
Right.
so
No,
they
for
do
sure.
that. Yeah, they
Right.
definitely do that for
And
sure.
not only that, they share family homesteads. And that's why
Yeah.
I always try to, let people or talk to people about that option. And so many of my clients, but again, this is years of cultivation, and that is me having been referral my whole career. So you figure that like attracts like. So I've just been blessed. And like the overall thing, the most important thing is how grateful I am that God has always allowed me to land on my feet, right? But I was thinking about that this morning. I mean, I've always taken some sort of risk, I've always been the one that's willing to go forth and see what's out there, right? And so I crafted my life to a way that's pleasing to me because I know it's only one. And even in my marriage, despite all of the hardship that I had, I still have always had freedom of movement because I know I wouldn't have been successful and I wouldn't have been able to accomplish as much had I been forced to sit in somebody's box. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
I just know that my situation is unique in that way, so I don't take for granted or judge or view people that choose those options differently. Like I said last week on the show, it's like the 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 reality is that there's benefits to going into an employer seat. There's benefits in going into an employer seat, right?
Right.
because you get benefits, right? You get to know that every week you're going to get, or every 2 weeks, you're going to get a certain amount of salary that you can count on. You know how much is going to be deducted. You know how much is this. You know how much is that, right? My
Mhm.
entire career since 2004 has always been pretty much, if you don't produce, you don't eat.
Mm.
And I taught for Norfolk Public School substitute. I substitute taught in the beginning of my career, but
Mhm.
even that, the reason that I chose that was because back then, they would call. So it's
Yep.
like, on the days that I didn't feel like, on the days that I didn't feel like working, or I wasn't going to work this day, I
Mhm.
just wouldn't accept the call. You
Yep.
just deny the call. So it's
Yep.
like I just knew that about myself.
Yep.
And so that's just something that I've just been blessed to be able to always have the vision that I was not going to be a great employee. I just feel like I'm just not a great employee. A teammate, yes. Employee, no. You know what I'm
So it
saying? Like,
sounds like one of the strategies that you used as you got it out the mud was like you had the gigs like bartending, then you did the substitute teaching, and so those are the things that are kind of like your filler when you're transitioning into the in the as you're building. Would you
mhm.
say that
Well,
that was
no,
one of
I
your
would say that,
strategies?
and I would say that, yeah, in the first part of my career,
Mm-hmm.
I balanced it out with like substitute teaching,
Mm-hmm.
but the substitute teaching ended right the same, like 2009. So it was like I lost the house and substitute teaching ended, right? So all of my fail safes were gone. And
Mm,
then I bartended for that interim, right? But I wasn't doing real estate at that time.
right.
So it's almost like anytime that I've been doing real estate, that's all I did, right?
Right.
That's it. I
But
mean,
when
it's
you
just like,
weren't doing, and that's kind of what I'm getting to. I'm saying that some of us like when you're in that middle, when you need that support in between. So, if you or if you're in a season where real estate isn't really where it needs to be, you have found a way to like transition. Like some people, when they get into a space where maybe their profession or the business isn't doing well, they'll just hop back into corporate. Now, and I know you've never been a part of corporate, you've never
no, no,
done
no, right.
the job thing, but there you do get, it's not a 9 to 5, but you do go and work for someone else
No,
temporarily, or you do
I
some
would
type
say, no, I would say that what I did was wrong. So you figure that, no, when I lost my house and substitute teacher ending, I did the bartending for a couple of years and then came back into real estate. And then when I left the company that I was working with doing foreclosures, um, which would have been working for someone, but in real estate, right?
of. Hmm.
I did not prepare. Like I didn't really prepare. I was just like, okay, I'm doing this. I trusted my circumstance in the moment. And I said, I'm doing this. And I just was doing real estate. And that was not the right way. So what I would say, I don't think from my perspective, because I know that my landing would have been easier had I not just walked away and said, I'm just gonna do it on my own, right?
Hmm.
What I would say is that it's nothing wrong. Like all the agents we have, as a matter of fact, um, new agents or even established agents, they have something else that they do, right? And I understand that it's a blessing to be able to do real estate as only my only career since 2011, right? But
Hmm.
I've taken a lot of hits and had to do a lot of stepping this way and pivoting in order to get to this point. And I would say that there's no shame in staying in your corporate job until you have enough money to either you're earning enough in your second business to triple your monthly income, or you've saved at least enough for 2 years salary, right?
Hmm.
So whatever comes soonest, because the reality is that even now our firm just passed 3 years. And I was talking to my neighbor today and I was letting her know that, but I told her that, I'm not going to celebrate in a huge way, like a party or any type of huge celebration until about 5 years, because right now the firm, to me, if you were looking at it like a human, if that's my baby, then it's still just a toddler. And I want that thing to be able to at least read before I start partying, right? It's like, I think that it's nothing wrong with being certain of your situation and having a determining factor on your income while you're growing your entrepreneurial pursuits. And I think that it's also just equally as good to just jump out there and do it, because either way, if you're going to win, you're going to win. That's how I look at it. I look at it like, if you're a winner, then winning is repeatable. And so knowing that you're a winner, if you jump out there, you're going to have to push it till you win. Does that make sense? I feel like I lost you on this. Ooh, ooh, parents out the mud. Oh, I was about to start singing to your viewers and everything. But yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what I was saying, is that I feel like, did you hear what I said?
Yep.
Is that, yeah, I feel like if you're gonna jump out there, go ahead and jump out there. You just gotta know that you're gonna have to really, like you said, get it out the mud. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
just like with me. When I left that company and the circumstance that I was counting on to sustain us didn't happen, I
Right.
had to get into the mud. And see, that's the
Mm-hmm.
difference, is that I don't mind, and never have I mind, adjusting, shifting, and pivoting in order to get what I want.
Yep.
Because I like getting what I want. So, for
Yep.
example, this is what I'll tell you. What I did, Kezia, was I created a salary in real estate.
Wow.
So that is the reason why I never had to do something different. It's because I do property management. So in 2018, when the divorce started, and I needed to figure out a way to ensure that
Mm-hmm.
I would be able to remain stable and consistent as a caregiver
Yep.
and a breadwinner.
Okay. Say it
I,
again. A
I,
caregiver and a breadwinner.
right. I
Yep.
said, okay, what is the thing that I will never have to worry again? And that is when I began to build the property management portfolio. So you figure that I always had like 2 to 5 properties my whole career. I always had 2 to 5 that I was managing for someone for some reason, right?
Yeah.
And that would be anywhere from 200 to maybe $500, right?
Wow.
However, when I was going through that divorce, what I found was, the more properties I had, the more stable my income would be,
Mm.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I said, I'm going to build a property management portfolio and still do sales.
Wow.
And that is what has insulated me from the ebb and flow of
Mm.
our market, no matter what,
Okay.
is because we manage properties. And so you figure that now at this point, the firm has about 14 million under
Wow.
management, like in property value under management, right?
Wow.
And it's a stable salary. And that's why I treat it that way. And that's why my landlords and my tenants, we do so well together, is because I treat that like a corporate job, right?
Mm. That's the key
And
right there.
yeah, I treat that like a corporate job, because that's what's the benefits, right? That's the
Yeah.
benefits.
Yeah.
And then you figure the sales, they just push things forward or build my legacy, right?
Mm.
So you
Mm-hmm.
figure that I don't have to depend on not only my earnings in real estate sales, I don't have to depend on my agent's earnings in real estate sales to be successful, because I created a salary.
Wow.
So that is the difference, I think. And I had to do that. And then I really like property management. I like it. So it wasn't like a hard thing to transition into, to
Yep.
build a system that was repeatable and
Mm.
scalable, that I could create more money and know that monthly a guaranteed amount of this or that would be,
Yeah.
made.
Is
No, that
that
was
is that what you would recommend to your to recommend to anybody that's interested in getting into real estate, that's a way to go as you learn
It
the benefits?
is. Yes, 150%. If you want to give yourself a salary, if you
Mm.
want to give yourself a salary where you know you're going to be earning this, I'll tell you, when I was going through the divorce, I had a good girlfriend who's also a broker. I love her, and we've known each other for years. And she called me, and we were talking, and I was going through it. I was left in a lot of debt with my ex, left me in a lot of debt. And I asked her how many properties she had, and she said 11. And at the time, our house payment was $1,100.
Mm.
And I was like, because, property management, you normally make 10% a month. And I
Mm.
was like, Dad, if I had 11 properties, I wouldn't at least have to worry about this, right?
Yeah.
And in that moment, I said, you know what? Shucks, I'm about to build this up. And within the next like 18 months, we had like 35 properties.
Mm.
And from that point we've pretty much stayed somewhere between 35 and 50, for the past couple of years. Because when I opened the firm, I came to the firm with 18 when I opened the firm. And so now we're back up to 50, like right just under 50. And our price points are really nice,
Nice.
so it's a really beautiful, it's a beautiful thing, and it provides an opportunity for me to offer those beautiful homes without all of the parameters that are preset but not a standard,
Mhm.
that don't make sense for renters. So it gives me a
Yeah.
unique value proposition to be
Mhm.
able to find people that can afford it, um, and may have challenges outside of evictions that other companies wouldn't consider, because what a lot of people don't realize is that those background checks, they go back way further than they should. And
Mm.
so because those background checks go back 20 years, even though legally we shouldn't be looking past 7 years or 10 years depending on the crime or the circumstance, they
Mhm.
can see it. um, as well, it also shows your entire credit history, so that's not best for some of us that may have went to college or been in the military, and now though you're 40, right? But
Mhm.
back when you were 27, you know what I'm saying, you had
Yep.
these issues and they're still holding it against you. So I was with a company, doing property management. I had a landlord that didn't take a landlord that looks like us, that didn't take a chief in the Navy that looks like us, because she had a misdemeanor driving offense from when she was a seaman. And so,
Wow.
I was always determined to open my own firm, but really the thing that made me open the firm was property management. Because
Mm.
as just a regular real estate agent, I can honor my people, I can help you create wealth, I can help you
Mhm.
have access. I can help you build a portfolio. I can do all of that, right? However, the disparity in how our renters are treated, Black
Mhm.
and brown renters are treated, was what made me say, no, I gotta open this firm. Because right, because they use the standards, our local standards, right,
Right, and that's redlining within
that are
itself.
not right, exactly, exactly,
Mhm.
exactly.
I
And so
mean
I said,
the but see, that's why it's important for legislation, because then, like, that's why I always say, as a people, we really need to get plugged into legislation, because there are people that are writing the rules and the regulation that does not, that they know the code, like their codes are restricting based on a culture. You know what I mean?
right. Oh no,
Based on,
no, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Trust me, I know for sure. I mean, there are so many companies. Like when I was with other companies, I would do my best to, within reason and legality, warn renters that were working with me about certain companies, because I would have, like, literally, I had a lady one time that owned a school. Okay, she was bringing in, after the school, like after the school got everything taken care of, she got like
Mhm.
70 kids,
Wow.
pre-K through second grade. Okay,
Mhm.
through a church, so everything legitimate. She bringing in 12, 13,000 a month, and she kept getting denied by of the homes that she wanted to and felt she was
To rent,
earning
right?
and willing to rent,
Yeah.
because she had a lot of debt, or her credit wasn't at a certain place. But here's the crazy part. But the husband had the credit, not the money. And I just think that's stupid. And
Yeah.
I just think, and it was horrible. I mean, we went through this, me and this lady went through this for like almost 2 years. And, and it worked out for her because she bought land and she built her house, right?
Mhm.
So God will redirect you, God will
Mhm.
redirect you and say, don't be going over here.
That is
Because
crazy.
this was 2000, 18, 19, something like that. So you figure that it took her a few years, and God redirected her, instead of getting that $2,500 5-bed rental, to building
Mhm.
a house on her own land.
Yeah.
So everything happens for a reason. And yet, together, they were bringing in almost 18,000 a month and couldn't get a rental in Chesapeake, certain neighborhoods, because they would either say she had too much debt or the credit of one, not both of the married people. So I
Wow.
just,
Yep.
I just feel like that there are disparities that are not addressed,
Mm-hmm.
and
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 I definitely can't wait. I definitely can't wait to dig more into this. But I want to go ahead and share with our audience where they can find you, because you are full of gems, you're full of knowledge, which makes you the type of person that I want to do business with, and the type of company that our viewers want to do business with. So how can people follow you?
all right, y'all. If you know me or if you've seen me before, a lot of people call me Tierra around Tidewater. I'm sitting in Norfolk right now, in between a property on 37th Street and a property on 11th Bay, right? So you figure that I can be reached on our website, walker1homes.com. I can be reached directly. I always answer my phone, no matter being broker or not. I answer my phone. It's 757-944-3805. We also have our YouTube, Walker One Property Group. And all my socials to reach me directly are at Flawless RET. Flawless RET. Okay. So I appreciate you guys kind of tapping in with us. Kezia, thank you so much for just inviting me on this lovely, lovely show. I appreciate
Yes.
sharing my story with you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of our audience, a lot of them may or may not have gone through the things that you're talking about. And so, even just in that, the wisdom that you dropped on why people should really have someone advocating for them, whether
Hmm.
they're renting, whether they're buying, you are extremely knowledgeable. And I'm so grateful for this time.
That's
Do
right.
you, what do you have going on with Walker One Properties? I know you mentioned about your space being
Yes.
leased
Yes,
to.
we have a community part. We have the community partner program. I kind of forget about that because it's just a thing but thank you for remembering that. So we have community partner program where small businesses come and utilize our space. So it's
Nice.
like free Wi-Fi. We're in Janif office building. So we have a few companies that use that space to build their businesses because it's not too busy throughout the day. We're a boutique firm. So most of our agents, like I said, they work full time or part time, and then they're in and out. They need to be in the field, not in the office. I'm the one that's in the office. Okay, so you figure that we have our space, and we're just continuing to grow. Our biggest thing is to help people to create wealth through real estate ownership, with knowledge, information, empowerment. Simply put, right? I am very good at helping to explain those complex circumstances and get you to your goals as quickly or as slow as you want. And you don't have to be ready to come talk with us. I actually prefer to talk to you when you think about it versus when you think you're ready, because a lot of times you don't be ready. And so if you talk when you're thinking about it, then you'll be planned out. So we try to work with our clients for a lifetime and actually build a goal based idea of what it is that you want to do in real estate versus just selling you a house, right? We really try to see what your goals are and then help you to plan that out and execute that no matter how long it takes. Which is the reason I'm the community housing advocate for Virginia Housing Community Development Corporation. So VHCDC, they have
Mm-hmm.
so many programs. And that's one of the other things is that myself and our agents, we specialize in knowing all the programs because a lot of Virginia residents do not realize that the Virginia housing guidelines are up to 152,000 a year. So if you're making less than that, then you do qualify for a home ownership home buyer program. And
Wow.
for our yeah, and for our sellers, I mean, we do lots of promo, lots of open houses. That's what I'm known for is the midday mimosa open house because we get saucy and we get your house sold. So we definitely have fun with that. But we just do a lot of fun things and we keep people informed and knowledgeable.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. And guys, don't forget to reach out to Tierra. You can book your consultations if you want to buy, sell, or invest, or if you need a space to work in an environment. Real estate
I
agents,
realize
those that are connected to the real estate industry, just come through Walk for One Property Group, and
yeah, the
I am
sun
so
finally went out of my eyes.
well, you all don't forget, Parents Out the Mud, we're here to support parentpreneurs finding ways to get it out the mud. And we will see you all next time. Peace and love.